Hello, one of Scott's do-it-yourself videos here. I've got a Porter cable 333 variable speed sander, and I've used this a few years, but just sparingly. And like a lot of you, I've read some of the reviews, and people have had a lot of trouble with it. Mine started to, the speed would vary. It would go, and then finally it got so bad to where it wouldn't even start. Mine's a variable speed model. It wouldn't even start on the lower speed settings, and I didn't know if it was the brushes or the switch for the power that was arcing, but finally got so bad I decided to see what I could do. Basically, to get this apart, as some of you probably already know, take this pad. There's these 3 torque screws. Use one of these star drive drivers. Take those out. It's good to have an extra one of these if you use this thing a lot, because I'm on my second one, and that's part number 13909, and also you might want to have an extra one of these. I'm on my second belt as well. So you take that off, and then you'll be able to access the 2 screws, which you can see the holes for here, underneath this sealer O-ring, which you have to pry out of that groove. And then there's a couple more screws just like this, holding the rest of the case together. And you have to take the housing off. There's 1 screw on each side there, and then you'll get to this impeller type fan that fits on this shaft here, and that'll slide off. There's this little screw here that just goes in. This little screw just goes into the end of the shaft, and then the fan thing will just come off of there. And you can finally get down to the motor. Now the problem with mine was this bearing, and it had this cover on it, and I don't know if you can see, but there was dried grease inside the bearing, and it's basically frozen solid. Now you can buy these bearings, but because I'm trying to use it today, what I was able to do was to take a sharp device and go into the bearing from the outside, pry it, and then this rubber part just peels off the seal, and then I was able to clean it out with some WD-40, which is a good solvent, and I used a lot of air pressure to blow it all out. And then I used some Valvoline synthetic style wheel bearing grease. Just packed it in there. You probably don't want to pack it in super tight, because this thing's runs quite a few RPMs, and it needs a little bit of room for the grease to move around. If you pack it too tight, I think it might blow some of the grease out. So I'm fixing to reassemble it, but I hope this helps you out if you have to disassemble the thing. And you know, I didn't mention this part, but it's all pretty self-explanatory. This is right under the pad mounts to that. When you take this little screw off, this thing fits inside of here like so, and that screw holds everything on. Anyway, I hope this helps you repair your Porter Cable 333 variable speed orbital sander, or at least see the kind of disassembly of the unit that you need to do to service it. Thank you. Just to add on to my other video, when I was assembling this back together, this piece here that goes on the sander, it obviously fits down further like that, and then this plate would go on there, and of course you have to have that housing and everything on there as well. But I'm just giving you an idea. When I spun this bearing, it also wasn't very spinning very easily. So like I mentioned before, if you take a pointy tool, this is available like at Harbor Freight Tools for just a couple dollars. You can start at the outside edge. Now I've already pried that up, but anyway, this bearing seal comes out, and you can see on the inside of it, it's that kind of hardened grease. And this is all the grease I got out of that other bearing. Some of it, you can see, just hard. I mean, it smacks the paper when it comes down. And then this stuff, that's not really grease anymore either. It's all hardened up. So it's just crappy grease from Porter Cable that dried out. And what I'm going to do is clean that out with a little WD-40 and put some compressed air in here, blow all that out, take some new grease, pack it in, and then these seals just snap back in. Now there was a snap ring holding this this bearing in on this side, and it was a bit of an effort to get, or was it this side? Heck, I can't remember anymore, but one of these sides, it had this snap ring on there. You have to have some snap ring pliers. These are cheap ones and barely worked, but you get the general idea. And those snap rings were in there so that you'd have to take this out to pry the bearing cover, because it sat right on top of the bearing seal. Hope that helps you out with your this thing ought to run like a top when I get done with it. Just going to pack some more grease in there, clean it out. Well, clean it out, then pack grease in there, and get this baby. Okay, I keep finding more and more stuff wrong with this. Anyway, to get the snap ring, which is actually on the inside of this, I had to use a 25mm Craftsman socket, bang it on there a little bit to make sure that that snap ring seated properly. Okay, I keep finding more and more things wrong with this, and one thing I left out a minute ago, I was talking about that snap ring. Sometimes you can get it kind of on the edge, but not totally into the groove. And a 25mm Craftsman socket, some of them are thicker than others around the edge, so I'm just saying it's Craftsman. And it's actually on the reverse side of this. I've already got it mounted, but I just tapped it with a hammer, boom, to make sure that the snap ring was into the groove. Now this little piece here, the belt runs around there, and it just adds a bit of friction so that the pad doesn't turn too fast. Well, this thing was frozen up solid, just like about everything else with it, even though it wasn't rusted. Now the trick to this son of a gun, which I just learned, is that it has reverse threads. So I wrote on the thing, on is counterclockwise and off is clockwise. Now you can see I had to put a little epoxy in there because I stripped the darn threads out, getting that thing loose, because this is just plastic. So I'm going to just stick it back in there. And this is the only thing that uses a Phillips head on the whole thing. Then if you go counterclockwise, it will tighten down. And you don't need that super duper tight, because all it does is add a little bit of friction. And then we're just going to put the pad back on, tighten those down, and give it a test. Thank you for watching.